Hey everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Have you ever looked at a map of Canada and noticed all the cool lines, cracks, and squiggles? It's not just a bunch of random shapes. Those lines are like a giant history book written on the Earth itself, telling an incredible story that's millions and even billions of years old. Today we're going on an epic adventure to explore the gigantic cracks in Canada and discover the amazing geological secrets they hold. It's going to be like being a detective, but for our planet. So, what exactly are these cracks? In geology, we call them faults and rifts. Imagine you have a big chocolate bar. If you bend it, it might snap and create a crack, right? The Earth's crust, which is the hard, rocky outer layer we live on, is kind of like that chocolate bar. It's broken up into huge pieces called tectonic plates. These plates are always moving, super slowly, about as fast as your fingernails grow. When these giant plates push against each other, pull apart, or slide past one another, they create enormous stress in the rock. Eventually, the rock can't take the pressure anymore and it breaks. That break is a fault. Let us start our journey on the East Coast with one of the most famous examples, the St. Lawrence River. This mighty river flows through a massive ancient valley. But this isn't just any valley. It's part of a huge rift system called the St. Lawrence Rift System. A rift is what happens when the Earth's crust starts to pull apart. Think about stretching a piece of dough. It gets thin in the middle and eventually starts to tear. Billions of years ago, the supercontinent that existed back then started to break apart right here. The land stretched and sank, creating a long, deep valley. Over millions of years, glaciers carved it out even more, and eventually the St. Lawrence River found its home there. So every time you see that river, remember, you're looking at a place where a continent almost tore in two. It's like a scar from a time when the world was rearranging itself. Now, let's zip over to the other side of the country, to beautiful British Columbia. This province is part of what's called the Ring of Fire, an area around the Pacific Ocean with tons of volcanoes and earthquakes. Why? Because this is where the massive Pacific Plate is crashing into and sliding under the North American Plate. This collision is a messy business. It creates a whole network of faults. One of the biggest and most important is the Queen Charlotte Fault, running just offshore. It's a strike-slip fault, which means the two sides are grinding past each other horizontally. Imagine rubbing your hands together. That's the kind of motion happening deep beneath the ocean. This constant grinding is what causes many of the earthquakes felt along the coast. It's also a big reason why BC has such spectacular mountains. The immense pressure from these colliding plates has squeezed, folded, and pushed up the rock over millions of years to create the majestic Rockies in the coast mountains. Those mountains are basically giant, beautiful wrinkles in the Earth's crust. But not all of Canada's cracks are on the coasts. Let's travel to the middle of the country, to a place that might surprise you. The Great Lakes. Did you know that the Great Lakes, especially Lake Superior, sit in another ancient rift valley? This one is called the Midcontinent Rift System. About 1 billion years ago, long before the St. Lawrence Rift, this part of North America also started to pull apart. Hot magma from deep within the Earth rose up, creating volcanoes and pushing the land apart. For some reason, the rifting stopped. It was like the Earth tried to unzip North America but then changed its mind. The heavy volcanic rock that filled the rift then sank, creating a huge basin. Much later, giant glaciers came along during the ice ages. These massive sheets of ice were so heavy they scraped and dug out the soft rock in this old, failed rift, carving the deep basins that we now know as the Great Lakes. So when you're looking out over the vast waters of Lake Superior, you're actually standing on the edge of a billion-year-old failed ocean. How cool is that? These cracks and rifts do more than just create amazing scenery like mountains and lakes. They also tell us where to find valuable things. When rock breaks and hot fluids move up through the faults, they can carry dissolved minerals with them. As these fluids cool, they deposit minerals like gold, silver, copper, and nickel. Many of Canada's most important mining districts, like the one in Sudbury, Ontario, are located right along these ancient geological structures. The Sudbury Basin is actually a giant crater from a meteorite impact that happened nearly 2 billion years ago, and the impact fractured the rock, allowing mineral-rich magma to flow in. So these cracks are like pathways that concentrated treasure for us to find. These geological features aren't just a thing of the past. They are still active and shaping our country today. Scientists, called geologists, are like detectives who study these faults very carefully. They use special instruments to measure the tiny movements along the faults to help us understand where earthquakes might happen in the future. In places like Vancouver and Montreal, which are near major fault systems, this work is super important. Engineers use this information to design buildings and bridges that can withstand the shaking from an earthquake. By understanding the story written in these cracks, we can better prepare for the future and keep our communities safe. It shows how the Earth's ancient history has a direct impact on our modern lives. So from the St. Lawrence River in the east, to the failed ocean under the Great Lakes to the mighty mountains of the west, Canada's cracks are everywhere. They are the fingerprints of powerful forces that have been shaping our planet for billions of years. They tell a story of colliding continents, ancient oceans, and fiery volcanoes. The next time you're on a road trip and you see a valley, a cliff, or a mountain range, take a second to think about the incredible journey that piece of land has been on. You're not just looking at a landscape, you're looking at a page from Earth's amazing autobiography. The ground beneath our feet is alive with stories, and we just have to learn how to read them. Thanks so much for joining me on this geological adventure across Canada. It's incredible to think about the immense power and time it took to create the landscapes we see today. If you enjoyed learning about Earth's secret history, please give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you won't miss our next exploration. What part of Canada's geology do you find most fascinating? Let me know in the comments below. See you next time.